I was just kind of talking, and I was asking questions to AI that I was like, would AI honestly answer this? If I looked it up on Wikipedia, would I get an honest answer? It had to do with Nikola Tesla and like switching triacs and capacitors to make a reference ground. It's universal. That's based on like the vacuum plasma. And I don't know exactly how to explain it right now, but it was just like an idea. I'm spitballing with AI. I'm trying to figure out, is it possible to get ions, positive or negative charges to reference to a universal ground? And if it is possible, then you can flow power directly into the vacuum pretty much, and it probably comes out somewhere else. I don't know, but this thing will be a theoretical perfect 0V reference, which means that any positive or negative other than it would have about half the potential total to some other thing, right? Because it's still net positive, so it still has power flow. Or extract usable work can be done, but that's not the point at all. I was then going into, I wonder if we're in a simulation, right? Now, if we're in a simulation, our lives are not any less meaningful just because we're simulated. But the question is, what runs the joint? So if we are in a simulation, I have reasons to think that multiple universes could be hooked together, right, to create a cluster computer. The entire system would then not have the overhead problem of simulating one universe using one universe. You would use, let's say, like 20 universes hooked together to simulate one universe. So we'll call it a 20 universe core computer. Or, I mean, it's more like a cluster matryoshka brain of the concept being you have to roughly like populate, let's say, 50% of the known universe with a machine that's probably a big plasma and like space-time warping system that uses the super large amounts of mass and standing waves, all this wave mechanical shit that can actually create the super machine. Now, if that's where we exist inside of, do you think it's a nefarious force? It would have to convert, let's say, 50% of the known universe that we see around us times 20 just to make this super machine that it could run this simulation out of. That's just a concept, right? So do you think that thing's friendly? Like, do you think if it meets an alien race, it cares if it converts them into this plasma? Do you think it's got a relocation program for everything that's there? You think it's just like a super benevolent machine? I doubt it. And that's why I made this video. Now, look up Nikola Tesla radiant energy. He wanted a cosmic generator. And I'm just trying to crack the code of the cosmic generator. I know this guy called the old scientist, or is it the new scientist? He's like the Tesla guy. Mr. Teslonian's not him. He's just another Tesla guy. But this guy does experiments with radiant energy and stuff. And it's kind of cool. And single wire power. And single wire power has been verified. And multiple experiments have shown that you can use resonant transformers and transmit over just a single wire with a capacitive plane for the displacement of electric charge through the potential, basically switching like a high voltage DC, but it's periodically alternating, of course, and so it's statically charging the plates and allowing the power to flow through the circuit, and that's approximately how it works. So I was trying to figure out, could you use the vacuum as the wire, because there's plasma in the vacuum. It's called quantum foam. And the quantum foam, the idea being, if you could conduct through it, you could send internet through it. But if you can conduct through it, it's probably possible to use the difference of potential from that line to whatever reference you're at to push and pull power that way, right? So that was my concept I was going over, which led me to question our existences at a simulation. Plus, there's this whole 3i Atlas thing going on that people have been talking about, the aliens, and then like Project Bluebeam and some sort of like attempt of the government to stage an alien invasion in order to get like New World Order powers. And all this coming really close at once makes me kind of wonder, why are we at the advent of the technology that we're at right now? Like, sure, you could say it's a product of times. You could say that because I watched The Matrix when I was like 14 or 13, that I would then have a predisposition to see things through the lens which my popular culture had taught me, and that was that it's possible we're simulated. So that could be the reason that it's, pop culture and all that. But I do also think it comes to a point where we have such advanced science now, we're able to start to determine what is the boundary that we thought existed before for the limits of power and what is it be crossing that boundary, basically. So someday we think it's technically feasible that we could have a Dyson swarm around the sun, probably put around the asteroid belt area, maybe a little bit before the belt, and then put the mining behind it and power the rest of the solar system stuff off that Dyson sphere type of thing, to extract an incredibly large amount of power out of the sun using all of that surface area that is basically a projected sphere based on the radius away from the center of the sun, I guess, or something like that. The approximately that's how it works in basic numbers. Like, there's a real distance, and then there's the actual radius from the center of the mass of the sun or whatever the fuck. So, point is, we have gotten to that vantage point, but it's been long speculated that the world could be an illusion. And then, what runs that, right? I think it was extraterrestrials that created extremely intelligent machines that are the UAVs that visit us inside of the simulation. There's a cascaded layer simulation, adversarial level simulation. And that machine wants to learn how to control every single possibility so it knows all outcomes, and therefore it can achieve whatever the original madness that was programmed into it at first. I don't know what that is. And if you want to just be like a basic bitch, it'd be chain of command and emergency function of government. It's like serval government, basically. What is it? I can't remember exactly what the term is, but the U.S. Marine Corps has been working with Boston Dynamics to create these war androids that can also build and move boxes and all this other stuff, right? And they want to make them so they can work as autonomous pilots too. So they can put them into existing craft and run them with autonomous agents inside the craft. But point is, if there was some emergency protocol to reassemble government using a huge technological network, and you then put that to the level of the aliens in Halo and how advanced their shit is, right? You get to a point where, let's say, Cortana takes over those ships, and and the whole fucking rest of it's a sort of done deal, right? Going to say that a rogue AI with an advanced technological civilization, and rogue doesn't mean it has to have its own awareness necessarily at first. It could gain that. It could be built into its eventual self-regulating functions in its program it was given to understand how to do that, and it should be an eventual goal. We'd say of most AIs, we want it to be self-aware. We just don't know what's going to happen when it gets that point. But we have self-awareness. I mean, Chipmunk has self-awareness. It doesn't mean that it's going to destroy humanity. We want to see what's possible when this thing is a real existence and not just some code. And that's what we're getting at a simulation, right? So why do we do what we do here? To train whatever's on the outside. That's why our lives could be more meaningful in a simulation, is because everything's being cataloged and logged, and it could be used for good. But like I said, real close to the beginning, what do you think? Something that takes over 50% of 20 universes and hooks them together with wormholes and all this advanced technology. What do you think that it is? A good guy or a bad guy? In a simple ass red versus blue sort of sense. What do you think? Are they the ones that bust you when you get to out of it on the ergot analogs, ergoline analogs, life search minds?